This is a
Good time, Charlie?
production.
On your marks, get set, play.
Hello there.
Good favor.
That I really like.
That is delicious.
Bakers, your time is up.
I mean, custard baking, sort of, but not really. It kind of, but then, oddly enough, this episode was truly what I love about this show. So I guess custard, it works. You know what I'm saying? It's what we do. Welcome back to the tent. It's Crimpy. It's a Great British Bake Off podcast. It is week 7, custard week, and we gonna talk about it. I'm joined as always by my co-host. It's Nick Jew.
It was really only one way it could go this week, but I'm still kind of sad.
Yeah, we gonna talk about that too. Don't trip. And of course the homie Tatum 216. What's good at?
It's only one way it could go this week, and I was relieved.
Interesting. Okay. Well, it's custard week, and I don't know, bruh. I was already kind of something, as y'all heard last week. I was already kind of sometimey about it. But something I noticed this week was this bad boy just was like, it just dropped into it. The show was kind of going. We didn't get a little funny bit. We didn't get an opening. And I was trying to figure out why or what happened there. And then I went and dug me up a British copy to watch. And there was a whole ass introduction to this show that we do not get, where they laid out an explanation as to here's what's going on in the tent, here's who left and why, so forth.
Oh,
so
they get a previously on.
They get a full ass previously on, and they didn't get a little, witty intro either. But it didn't just start like they did, and I'm like, why would you do that? And I wonder what Netflix did to it. Was only like 2 minutes. It's literally like the English version was like 57 and some change, and our version was like 55 and some change. So
I thought it was like 45 this week.
but trust me, I was looking right at it. So yeah, so I found that to be interesting, and I wonder what went down to make that fly like it did this week.
They probably had something hella offensive and had to pull it after their response to Mexican Week.
But no, that's the point. Like I said, I watched it, and there was literally nothing. It was literally just a previously on, and a very well done one of that. So, in my opinion, if we want to opine on these situations, your remaining bakers in the tent are Abdul, Janusz, Kevin, Maxi, Sandro, and Shabira. And that is a good thing because we are getting down to the best of the best. And I go up for that. But I mean, I guess we should just start with a little something. And that is, of course, this week's Bakers Make the World Go Round. See, I can let that instrumental just go.
The only gangster baking show you'll ever listen to.
So, like I said, at this point, I would just throw in baking into Google and then click the news button and see what I'd get. And this is one of the things that popped up. This is from, of all places, On Milwaukee, which is, I assume, some kind of Milwaukee weekly paper of some sort. And this is the problem with this season of the Great British Baking Show. Now, you already know what I told you. If they say baking show, they not in because they disrespectful to the fucking cause. So I look at them already sideways as if you ain't gonna be right because you don't know what you don't know what you're talking about. This is from Matt Mueller, who is their culture editor. If you saw how large this font was, you'd know that this man probably just had a workout to make. or a page layout to make. Because, bruh, this is like child book size font. The Great British Baking Show is one of the sweetest imports to come across the Atlantic since Cadbury chocolate and the Paddington movies. But the current season, debuting new episodes every Friday on Netflix, has had a bit of a soggy bottom.
Boo.
Now, 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 make no mistake, the baking competition is still a delight, minus the misjudged attempt at Mexican Week. The contestants are still a charmingly cordial bunch. While most reality shows are cutthroat, everyone in the countryside tent just seems happy to be there and willing to lend a helping hand. The tone is just on the right side of whimsy, and of course, the bakes are outstanding. Any show that gives me an hour a week to oogle a dozen red velvet cakes, okay, piles of macarons shaped like yo-yos, and a collection of beautifully crafted mousse desserts, hiding even more dessert inside, can't be a bad thing. It's all still cozy comfort food that plays like a streamable, plummy accented hug. The Great British Bake Off, so I'm going to correct them, as you know, however, is still indeed a show that requires some level of dramatic tension or surprise. And thus far, the most surprising thing that has happened this season was Shabir thinking feathering chocolate meant literally making a feather out of chocolate. I'm not asking for the show to transform into a game of scones. Okay, I got to give it up to him on that one. That was
Okay,
well
that was a nice little pun. Nice little pun.
But this season's been so predictable and lacking in competitive intrigue that it feels souffle light, airy to the point of being forgettable. And the reason? There's no competitor middle class. No, I don't mean that in a literal socioeconomic sense. I mean that since awfully early on, there's been two distinct classes of bakers on this season. Those who can clearly win the season, Shabir, Janusz, Maxi, and Sandro, and everyone else who clearly isn't on their level. No one has moved in or out of those two classes, fallen off or gained steam as the season's gone along. And even if someone in the top tier falls short, like Janusz during Custard Week, there's been no next tier to really challenge his spot. As a result, 7 episodes into the season, it still feels like the competition's really started. Doesn't feel like the competition's really started. That we're all still trimming the fat phase of the show, and they were middling through the obvious eliminations. I'll stop there because I disagree.
Isn't that
of course.
Isn't that always how it is? Like,
yes,
I don't know.
Every
season,
every single year. Of course, this will be the notes you can finish reading off this article, and I think he's wrong. I think he's disrespectful to leave my man Abdul out of this, especially
Agreed.
after the week he had here in Custard Week. But
I think he's wrong about the entirety of the show because it's people like Abdul who get stronger every week and bake well and practice more and get better. So like that's kind of 3 classes of people. There are people who are truly amateurs and they can make a mean ass cookie, but when it comes to the next step they can't. But like Abdul has proved like he's gotten better every week, and like as we'll talk about more this episode, like he's doing very well.
Yeah.
And Carol wasn't too shabby. She just the time in the tent got her like every week. It was time.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm not going. I'll hear. It's not that I'll hear none of it. Hey man, that was a good game of scones pun. Good on you for that one. But
it's like
as for the rest of your
kinds of bakers that come to their show, there's always like. Never mind. We could talk about this. Another 40-minute topic we could talk about forever. This is.
Well, glad I found a solid article to discuss this week to keep us all going at. But let's get into it. Signature this week: 8 floating island desserts. Iles Flotantes. It's a French situation there. 90 minutes to complete. Basically, these are meringues that have been traditionally poached. Traditionally, they're poached in milk and floating in some creme anglaise. And I always wonder why they seem to be able to get anglaise right when they can never say anything else French. And that is, of course, anglaise just means English. It's English. It's English cream. It's their custard. And of course, if you're speaking well of them, they're gonna get it right, even though they get it wrong in every other situation. You so and so's. Shabir is up first, and she went for a mojito floating island. Her meringues were to be coated in a layer of a sandy crumble that was flavored with mint and lime. even though I wrote limb in my notes. In these bowls that had painted palm trees in them for decoration. Janusz was making a morning vanilla latte, a coffee and vanilla coffee and vanilla creme anglaise, served with a marmalade flavored biscuit with pipe meringues that looked like latte foam floating on top of the coffee creme anglaise. Sandro, it's sort of like Janusz back to the well with cherry and chocolate and stuff going again. I'm like, boy, if you don't stop. But cherry, almond and hazelnut with a rosé prosecco cherry jelly beneath a brandy infused custard, which is just creme anglaise. Imagine every time I say custard, it's a creme anglaise because that's just what this dish calls for. Also covered with dark shaving, sprinkled on a caramelized hazelnut and almond topping. All that in the meringue. Kevin, everything's coming up roses was the name of his this week. Rose flavored custard with a lychee and raspberry puree with prosecco infused meringue, topped with pink colored twill biscuit. And Maxie made blueberry lagoon, which is a custard and blueberry sauce topped with caramelized sugar swirls and glitter dust. And Abdul made a French style meringue, topped with caramel swirls, a cherry coulis, and an orange custard with a pistachio praline. Kevin's Titanic joke when he was making his meringues was pretty funny. And I think this is the week I came around on Kevin. Alas, ain't that a blip? I find it was like, okay, I see what Nick you like about
my
it.
guy.
For sure. What did y'all think about our signature this week?
I feel like this week it was very complimentary as far as this first round. Like a lot of all this, like them liking the flavor, except for Sandro's, where they thought it was too much liquor.
Yeah,
it was. But that just seems to be something he's. I don't know why he's going back and like he's always going with the liquor.
He talked about it, and when we get to judging, in fact, let's just dive into that. Shabira, Sandro said it first, and then Paul followed it up by saying it looked like a chicken cutlet, but cute. and Paul said, but cute. And but they agreed that the flavors were fresh, distinct, a perfect meringue for as big as it was. That was impressive. The sharpness really cuts through, and not too sweet. Abdul's meringues were unfortunately weighed down by his caramel swirls, but the custard was sweet, but in a good way because of the orange. Paul would have liked a more robust meringue. For Maxie, looks appetizing, maybe not enough. It's kind of just like a small amount. The flavors were delicious. The tartness of the blueberries really nice. The custard could have been thicker, and that's because she was worried when as she was making it that it was taking too long. And her patience got the best of her there. Had she just been a little more patient, she would have had it. Janusz looks quite effective. Looks like a latte. Custard texture, perfect. Delicate flavor. Prue said she wanted to keep eating, but she knew she had more judging to do. She had to stop herself. Sandro looks busy, but pretty. Very alcoholic. Brandy and the custard would have been enough. The Prosecco jelly was just too much. And he said, he was saying how when he had done it in practice, he thought it needed more. And that's a voice in his head that he has to shake.
Or he put too much.
Yeah. Well, no, they said just leave the damn jelly out. He didn't need that.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, all the way out. He just didn't need that. It added nothing to it. And if anything, it took away from because it made it so much more alcohol-y. So you get you got a brandy infused creme anglaise along with a prosecco jelly. It's like, I don't need brandy and
prosecco.
They just don't go. They just don't work together. And I hope that touches his brain a little bit. He thinks a little better. Like, look, man, you are very good at what you do. You don't need extra. And hopefully he'll arrive at that point. Kevin's puree slackened the custard. But man, Prue's descriptions are the banger, especially in a week like this. Smooth as anything. The Prosecco meringues were lovely. To Paul, though, they broke the alcohol broke them down, so they weren't doing, I guess, what he wanted meringues to do. Which, again, was one of the situations I find it interesting. Prue clearly enjoyed the Prosecco meringues, and Paul was just like, I ain't feeling them hoes. And I don't know. I guess he weighs. I guess his weighs more. You know what I'm saying? So, but that was a solid round for signature this week. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, nobody they didn't have like disasters, but nobody was like amazing. Well, they like Shabira's a lot.
They love Shabira's, and they really went up for her in this situation. Technical challenge, which I thought was very fun this week.
Yes.
Set by Prue. They wanted 6 pistachio and praline. I say praline. They say praline. Ice cream cones. 2 hours, 45 minutes to do this, but they had staggered start times. So basically, again, this was when the editing really pays off. At the end of the signature, they had Sandro basically saying, "Hey man, I'm in the back of the tent and I just be watching what other people be doing." Sometimes.
Right? Like I be getting help on this signature.
So of course they come through in the technical and they're like, "Oh, well, stagger start times. First up, Sandro, you first up. You ain't got nobody you can be looking at." Basically, is what the implication is here, and I absolutely love it. I love that they did this. In this event, the bakers are expected to make a custard-based ice cream, and they want them to make waffle cones. There's a specific type of decoration, and Prue was like, "I want 2 scoops. Don't fucking short me." But she didn't tell them that. She just made it known as her and Paul discussed what their expectations were for this challenge. So anything about technical that made y'all go, whew. I liked watching this one in that the camera did all the storytelling you needed here.
It was so fun. It was just like really so fun. A different twist on something they do every week. It was so suspenseful. Like it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, they did look shook because of course they had never done a technical like that before.
Yeah.
It was great to see. I mean, it's always great to see like I think you got a different look at it this time. The way everybody does it different. Mm-hmm. With the staggered viewing of it, you got to see like, okay, well, Sandro, when he put his custard in the refrigerator, like everybody else, like placed it in an ice bath, he just put his straight into the refrigerator. Yeah. Some people put theirs in the freezer. Like, it was interesting to see like the different way. I think it gave you a different look at, since it was staggered, the people's different techniques.
Yeah.
And
it was not.
Is that the same ice cream maker I got you for Christmas?
Yeah, I got that Cuisinart. No, I think theirs is bigger.
Okay.
By like maybe there's like professional and mine is like the home kitchen kind of vibe. So maybe that's what's popping with that. But Sandro had never made ice cream before this, so he just had to kind of talk himself through it. And I was like, hell yeah, you do. And I love that how that worked out in the end. Kevin's like, look, man, don't ever put this shit in the freezer off the rip. It's like, let me tell you something about creme anglaise, buddy. Because Kevin knew his dang custards. If nothing else, my man was rattling all the custards off throughout this episode. And he's like, you put that in the fridge first and let that kind of marinate. And most people did just that. And then some people did not.
Because if I'm not mistaken, it will form the crystals too fast if you put it in the freezer right away. Right away.
Well, in this case, it just brings it brought the temperature of the freezer up, which then has to catch up with itself to come back down and then start cooling off your custard. So you put it in the fridge first, get a slow kind of roll, and then, everything else kind of works itself out. Nick, anything else in technical that got you go?
It was interesting that Sandro, having never made ice cream before, made like the perfect texture and consistency of ice cream. He brought his out and it was basically the blueprint and nobody else could see his, but beside the fact that Maxie only put like 1 scoop and it sank down into the cone, nobody else was fucking with them. Like it was like goopy and just, it was amazing.
And Sandro also putting the chocolate inside maybe help insulate
in the cone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, let's get to it. Let's talk about judging. Sandro looks quite attractive. 2 scoops as Pruitt asked for. Color pretty much spot on. Cone is lovely, and the addition of the chocolate to the cone, because he put chocolate inside the cone, y'all, which course made it.
What you should do.
When your ice cream starts, melting, it doesn't just soak through the cone. Of course, it was the move. And basically, Sandro came through and embodied it technical. Just want y'all to understand that. Janusz, looks like it had been in the sun for 6 hours. Why is that? Because Janusz took his custard, put it directly in the freezer. And by putting it directly in the freezer, it did not cool in the manner in which it needed to. It should have gone in the fridge first, cooled down, then into the freezer. Then you could have scooped it properly and whatever. He came through with just almost whatever, just glue. But good flavor and a good cone. Shabir's soft, not set, just liquid leaking everywhere. Prue described it as a pistachio soup. Maxie, a single scoop. Good cone. Mean because it's so delicious, but not enough. Because Prue want them 2 scoops. Kevin, the chocolate is a great ugly lump. The cone was good, the ice cream is good, but melting fast. Abdul's cone was too dark and brittle. The ice cream was nice and smooth, just melting really fast because, like I said, 2 people got it right. 3 people were like, no. If I mathed it out, 2 people got it right. 2 people got it close to right, and 2 people got it all the way wrong.
Completely wrong.
Yeah. The ranking of this, of course, in 6th place was Shabir. The ice cream simply wasn't set. Janusz, see above. Number 4 was Abdul. Number 3 was Kevin. Number 2 was Maxie. Pretty good. Just needed more ice cream. Number 1 was Sandro. Absolutely delicious. Nothing wrong. Full marks.
He finally won a technical.
Respect it, man. Respect it. As for our showstopper, Nick Jew, were you showstopped this week?
Nope.
Not even, I gotta tell you, not even a little bit. I don't know what I wanted out of it, but it wasn't this.
Is it me, or are the showstoppers very small this season?
Yeah, nobody's coming out with something. Yeah, nothing.
A lion head bread piece.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Or just, or the Japanese gate, you know what I'm saying?
And I don't think it's the contestants. It's just the challenges that they're picking.
Yeah. So, anyway, what they wanted this week was a set custard gâteau. They had 4 hours to do it. And boy, howdy. Shabir, hers was named Pina Coladas, anyone? She made a custard gâteau decorated with pineapple flowers, coconut rum, creme légère. And did I get what creme légère was? I got all the other cremes. I want to make sure I tell you what creme légère is. If I'm not mistaken, it's simply it's whipped differently. Creme légère is pastry cream meets whipped cream. It's slightly sweetened, velvety creme légère. The versatile filling comes together quickly. It can be used in cream. In cream what?
Mm-hmm. Cream.
Used in one part. Okay. So, 2 parts pastry cream, 1 part whipped cream. Gives you yields an airy, smooth creme légère. So that's what creme légère is, if you guys were wondering. Alternating layers of pineapple creme pat and rum sponge. The sponge also is flavored with coconut milk. Bruh, I'm going to let y'all know, bruh. Shabir absolutely tore down the tent this week with that fucking cake.
Yeah, she bodied it.
It's kind of astounding.
Even when they showed the overhead of the cake mixing, it looked perfect. I gotta disagree with you guys about Showstop. I was Showstopped by her cake by every
just every step along the way there.
Yeah, the pineapple flower is beautiful. Yeah. I know I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but when they cut that cake and the fact that she used actual custard as the frosting, every element of that cake was beautiful. I've never wanted to taste the cake so bad on this show. And I've watched every season available to me, and I never was mouth watering right now. I've never seen a cake I want to eat so bad on the show.
I'm not saying that the things that they've made haven't been beautiful or look delicious. It's just like when I hear Showstopper, I'm thinking of a huge, takes you 4 hours to create the elements. Like, it just doesn't feel like they've had anything of that magnitude this season.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
Abdul made a peach and raspberry millefeuille. It uses Paul Hollywood's puff pastry recipe to make the layers of rough puff which were filled with, chocolate creme pat and vanilla creme diplomat. Creme diplomat dipset. Along with strawberries, raspberries, caramelized peaches, and lime zest. Creme diplomat. Again, I thought I wrote all these other recipes, other things down to share with y'all, and I didn't write that. Creme pat mixed with chantilly cream and gelatin. So that's what creme diplomat is.
It all sounds pretty gross to me.
It's because I don't like gelatin. I just don't. It's just it's weird. But you know what? Europe seems to have a great deal of vegetarian gelatin options that we just don't do over here in the States. So because they use plant-based gelatins oftentimes. So I probably could get down with a number of things over there just because they use a different type of gelatin. Sandro's tribute to a friend. This custard cake had 3 tiers, each one with its own custard: a vanilla layer, a coffee layer, and a mango layer. The vanilla layer is an orange sponge. The coffee layer is a jacon sponge. Jacon is made with almond flour along with AP flour and is similar to a Genoa. Don't let these English people get in my head. Genoa sponge. The mango layer was made with a coconut sponge. The entire thing was frosted with vanilla rosewater buttercream. I want you to know that I wrote the entire ting. Just left my H out. Maxie made her cake was named the Promised Land Tribute. The Promised Land for him is a tribute to her father-in-law. Coconut and almond dacquois, and as you may or may not recall, dacquois is layers of almond and hazelnut meringue and whipped cream or buttercream on a buttery biscuit base. She also used some of the aforementioned jacon sponge with a lime and passion fruit curd with diced mango and pineapple, decorated with the 12 biscuits in the shape of the motherland, and an ankh frosted with Italian meringue buttercream, filled with a classic vanilla creme pat. That cake looked good as fuck, bro. I was like, yeah, everything about that cake was like, yep, I'm all in on that one. Alas, I'm no judge. Janusz, Neapolitan custard gâteau. Janusz went with 3 different custards: a dark chocolate and raspberry custard, a strawberry and ruby chocolate custard, and a white chocolate and vanilla custard. Between layers of, this sounded so gross to me, limoncello and tea-soaked Biscopt sponge. Biscopt sponge is a traditional fat-free Polish cake. Whole thing was covered in a condensed milk buttercream with white chocolate drips. Drips is my man's signature. I will now stop making fun of him about it. Okay? That's just what he does. It's his thing. It's like just like Sandro and cherry and chocolate. Some people got a vibe and they ride with it. Kevin was attempting a honey Valentine custard gâteau. This is honey, thyme, and bay custard atop a dacquois base, nectarines, and raspberries with Swiss meringue buttercream and Prosecco infused. What did Kevin make again this week, ladies and gentlemen? Macarons. I want you to know, I know we're jumping ahead. The macarons didn't even come into the discussion when they was talking about
yeah, they didn't even talk about them.
It's like, bruh, I've said week in, week out, stop trying this, Kevin. And he simply refuses. He just gonna keep making these damn macarons, and hey, he can make it from the house now, can't he?
Oh my god! The
whole thing was, of course, covered in a raspberry jelly. Actually, had this worked out, it could have been something. Cool. Yeah. Everyone helping Kevin out, and I mean, it was like, remember, 6 bakers in the tent at this point. 4 of them was at that table with that man. You know what I'm saying?
Well, because they knew he was going to take his ass home.
Oh, well, for sure, but I like that. I like that they come through and do that. That's like one of my favorite parts about watching. It's one of my favorite things about Bake Off in general. It's just like They slowly but surely just form this family, and they just try to look out for each other as best they can. And I dig it every year when it happens, and it touched me. I'm just saying.
It was funny, like
Yeah,
when I
agree.
was watching it, my partner was like, "Why ain't they helping Abdul?" I was like, "Well, I don't." I said, "Well, maybe it could have been the editing, the way they shot it. We don't know if Abdul truly needed help at that point."
Yeah. And I don't know what assistance you could have helped Abdul out with. The way he was with that Milfa was very like a one man band. You know what I'm saying? I can't have you in here doing anything because you might get in the way or push me in a direction that I don't want to go. But Kevin needed some hands.
He needed help.
Yeah, for sure.
Help me.
Judging. First was Abdul. Looks lovely and professional and stylish. The custard texture was perfect. The pastry slightly underbaked. Don't sleep on Abdul. I feel like we've been saying that for 3 weeks now, but do not. Unlike that man who wrote that article, who just didn't even mention my man. Don't be like him, okay? Yadusha looks impressive. Sponge is nice, but all the custard is too thick, not fresh enough. The custard was more like wallpaper paste. Later on, Paul would say it just didn't taste good. I would argue with two really poor challenges this week, Janusz probably shouldn't have been there. Anyway.
Listen. You know I'm going to always bring this up because you know how they did my guy Jurgen. The minute he fell in the competition, they sent his ass home. This like week 3 of Janusz fucking up.
Yep.
Oh.
Maxi, slightly messy, but really attractive at the same time. Flavor's great. Sponge is good, but very little custard, none of which is set. It just didn't work out like she thought it would. I really liked the way it looked. It looked tasty to me. I would have ate that cake.
Yeah,
Shabir.
I think one thing we didn't mention, and like Paul, when Paul has his tips, he usually is across the table from him, like across the bench from him. He came right up on her, touched that pot like, baby, that pot not even warm enough.
And she was like, no, it's fine. He was like, baby.
No, he linked in until he had his hands together like Goldie, like, baby.
Oh shit.
So she had and that might have been her problem in the first round. Not getting because I know the fear is when it's boiling, it's over. You don't want it to boil. And she just had she had it set too low, and Paul was telling her
baby, turn that heat up.
Turn it up.
Blue Eyes was trying to let her know, baby, it ain't hot enough. It can't be hot like me and you could be.
As for Shabir, looks amazing. Just fantastic. The amount of custard is impressive. Never had one with so much custard and be stable. Just spectacular and just hit right. She absolutely came through and crushed the building, Shaw, and it has to be respected, I guess. Sandro looks great, very neat. Piping is exquisite, bold, and modern, and creative. The bottom one is a triumph. Wonderfully light sponge. The coffee custard, on the other hand, is a bit glutinous and dry. Prue believes that every layer is highly saleable, absolutely delicious, and will be gobbled up by anyone.
By anyone, my mama said. Anybody would eat this. And she did not lie.
I feel like Sandro was one custard away from Star Baker this week. And it bothers me. It bothers me even more now. It's like, come on, Bleak.
I think I know y'all don't watch RuPaul's Drag Race, but it's this thing that the fandom is always screaming on the timeline. If the runway doesn't count, just fucking say that. And it seems to me that the only challenge they are judging is the signature challenge. I mean, the Showstopper.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And if it's close, then they'll look at the other ones.
I really do feel that way this week. Like, because I mean, it's kind of crazy. I know Kevin kind of deserved to go home, but the fact that like his cake was wobbly as shit, but it's fucking custard.
And it tasted good. They said,
yeah.
Let's go over that right quick. I'm gonna get you back in. Kevin's custard is amazing. The more you have it in your mouth, the better it is, and it goes beautifully with the raspberries. Thyme and bay, amazing. Work really well together. A shame that it looks a mess. Now go off.
So yeah, like what I was gonna say is like by the end of it, Prue even says like, "Man, I even got the recipe. Like I want to try that." Like,
yeah.
It does seem like this week it was more or less like, I don't know, like Shabir cake had to be so good that, I don't understand why Janoose didn't go home. Not like talking to you guys through it and like how the last couple of weeks went. Like they pretty much whipped his ass for old and new with this episode.
Yeah,
like
I feel like there's no way you can come in last in technical and then walk away with goddamn Star Baker. I'm vexed by that. It's like, bruh, it's like, I get it. That cake was amazing and so forth and so on. But you came in last in technical. And I feel like that should matter for something. And it just didn't this week. So, like I said, to me, Sandro, that cake was a thing of beauty, y'all. And if y'all don't watch the show, I don't know why you be listening to this, but I mean, hey, please keep on. But it was such a work of art that I'm just like, I'm bothered by it. I get it. The custard was the hero and blah, blah, blah. But nah, man. And again, I feel like Kevin's was so good and Janusz's so bad flavor-wise.
So bad.
That I just would have said Janusz home. Janusz came in fifth, so almost last in technical, and made wallpaper paste in the goddamn
wallpaper paste. They said it was wallpaper paste, and he didn't go home. What did Jurgen do to get sent home?
He made that Japanese arch that they didn't feel was hype enough.
And look, Jurgen would never. He would never. He would never
serve wallpaper paste. Simply would not.
Yeah. And the edit, yet again, was the third judge, because when they start talking about the consistency of what custard should be, they show Janusz layering a grainy layer of custard on this cake.
Ugh.
Like it was that chocolate layer, and I'm like, I've never made custard before, and I know it ain't supposed to look like that.
Yeah. So we just gonna have to agree to disagree this week with the judges. Kevin should have stayed this week. And I guess, like I said again, it's so funny that I come around on Kevin and they send his ass away. The irony does not escape me. I know.
It broke my heart so much when he was like in the final moments trying to put his cake together and his hand was just shaking and he was just it broke my heart.
Shabir was a star baker this week and I didn't like it. So just in case I hadn't said that, I just want you to know that. So
not that we don't like Shabira,
I go up for Shabir, but in this week, I think it should have been Sandro at Star Baker, and I think Janusz should have carried his ass on home.
Mm-hmm.
Next week is pastry week, and I always like that. Lots of lamination, lots of bacon. This is where this is the one that separates the wheat from the chaff. So. This is where we're gonna find out how good these people is, because like I said, we didn't get to see Abdul and Bread Week, which would have been a similar kind of vibes of pastry week. So this is kind of a makeup, in my opinion, for him, so we can see what he can and cannot do. And this week he kind of made a laminated dough with the merfeu. So
that might have been something he was already practicing for this week coming up.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see where this goes. Poll last week was trick or treat. Treat won by 75 to 25%.
Nice.
I mean, I get it, but still.
Who doesn't want a treat?
Hey, man, tricks is a good time. So I'm just saying, you can get out there.
Tricks are for kids.
Damn right. Or people who are kid at heart.
Yes.
I think your poll this week might be Kevin or Janusz
Yeah, that's a good
who should have
one.
went home, because I'm of the opinion that it should have been Janusz, and we'll see how he makes it through this week, because apparently, like I said, he ain't been able to get his flavors together for multiple challenges over multiple weeks at this point. So we'll see what he does in a pastry situation.
Right. You cannot keep the ghost of Janusz in the tent just because he started out with a bang. You can't keep him there. If that's the case, then bring back Carol or Dawn.
Yeah, I especially agree with that. Like Dawn
has some bangers. Some
not only did
bangers.
she have bangers, she had like everything. It was like, oh yeah, I know this one already.
Mm-hmm.
Like her flavors were on. I mean, I don't know, but
Yeah.
I'm happy to see what next week brings.
As always, as am I. So I'm pretty excited about that. Plus, now I done found a little British kind of go to, so I might be able to watch it sooner than later. So now that we got some connections, I see, and that was just me trying to. So I was trying to find just somebody who had wrote it up already, so I can make sure I had everything laid out and help with just how I write my notes. But found a whole ass episode, because I asked, like, the question I asked Google was like season 13, episode 7 intro, and like I said, I'm like, what is going on with this intro? Like, did I mess something up? So I actually tried to rewind and noticed, like I said, and that's when I went and found, and like I said, the English cut is what we'll call it. And like I said, you got a nice little full whodunit. It's lovely. Weird. We'll see what this week brings, and We'll compare notes once again. But like I said, as less people in the tent, your episodes are gonna get shorter from us, because it's just not so much we can talk about.
Not so much to talk about, unless something like really controversial happens.
If they, make Mexican pastry week, we probably would have had a conversation.
Like, if anybody but Abdul goes home next week, it's going to be an interesting conversation.
What if Janusz goes home next week?
If he doesn't have a good week, he should go home. But at this point, to kind of agree with the dude who was hating on the show, for me, it has always been Janusz, Maxi, and Sandro. The fourth person is obviously Shabira. She's probably number one. Everybody else had a chance to get up in there, and I think the judges have been favoring those four to have this desired outcome, because at any given point it could have gone another way. I think Abdul could make a run for the quarterfinal. He probably won't. We'll see.
Yeah, those have also been your star bakers, so it just makes sense.
Because at this point you put Abdul in the finale. He's never won Star Baker unless he wins next week. He's never won a challenge. Has he won a technical challenge? I don't think so. So you make a hard case giving him the plate at the end, even if he has a stellar performance these last 2 weeks. It's just a little too late.
Yeah, my man better come through. We'll just say it like that.
He has to win Star Baker in order to stay. He has to win Star Baker.
Yeah, but like with the tiny mistakes he make, like burning the waffle cones repeatedly during challenges, like just the little things is probably what will keep him from winning. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I would love an all people of color quarterfinal.
Yeah,
it would be nice.
All right, people. That is Nick Jew. Oh, you know what? Before I send you your way. Hold on. Before I send you away, you know what it is. Podcast at stagecrunchybook.com, where you can email us at phone numbers 216-264-6311. That's 216-264-6311. Feel free to give us a call. You can write on the also, you, like I said, if you listen to Spotify, you can comment over there as well. So please do be that solid if you are so inclined. Now, my apologies, madam.
No, you're good.
That's Nick Jew.
I was just gonna say Sandro's name a bunch of times.
Fair. That is Tatum 216.
I do miss Sandro wearing having the smoky eye. That was missing this week.
Right?
It's his look, man. So we recognize that and goes forth knowing that. R.I.P. to his friend. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And to Maxie's father-in-law. Too many RIPs that need to be handed out this week. So that's what's up. Oh, yo, you will have this episode tomorrow. The day after tomorrow is Stay Crunchy Milk, our regular show. Guess who's on that show this week? Sneak
Me?
you.
Oh, no, yeah. It's 2 of me this week.
Yeah, you get a double up. So you get, or a triple up. So yeah, you can get a whatever.
According to Prue, we're not mean. We giving you 2 scoops of Nick.
Hopefully you're not lactic intolerant. Never mind. Don't listen to anything I ever say again, guys.
No, I'm about to say this kind of Nick don't hurt.
There you go. Put on bump.
It's no Game of Scones is all I'm saying.
Game of Scones was beastly.
Bruh, I got to give it up to him. That's the only thing in that article I'm like in his old childlike font that I'm gonna have to give it up to him on, because that well played, sir. I am the 0713. We will catch you next time. Bye.
Hey, what happened to you? You used to be